Hey, it's Alexander. I just wanted to say thank you for watching my stream. It's my first ever tier list and my first ever YouTube video, so it really means a lot to me that you would take your time to watch this. I send a lot of love your way. Enjoy. He's definitely my favorite unit, but I'm not going to let my bias get to me. You can see he's my only unit with plus 10 to his level, and could probably go almost another 10 here soon. But he's not like the best single target hitter. He's one of my favorites in particular just because he's a blue unit, and oftentimes in the front line, people will put either a Chloe or, Kuhn, the big ice giant. So increases your critical rate by 35%. I like to say that with this stone, Fynn becomes the finisher. Icing somebody is no joke. With this, he gets a much greater chance of doing a critical strike, which lands his freezes. And if you've seen Zootopia, you would understand that icing is no joke. So I would actually go ahead and put Fynn more towards the A tier. It's a pretty basic purple effect, but it's one of those that make Fynn like a very strong single target hitter. And I actually like him on Vampire because he can sustain with his hits and freeze units, and it's particularly good end game. Checking out the next one, we've got Roid. So let me go ahead and pull up Roid here. It's a passive, and so it decreases the damage that allies in Roid's line receive by 10%. 10% isn't a lot, and I thought that even when in the World Champions, a couple of players were throwing him in on the front line, and it caught me by surprise. So I'm still going to hold by that because they didn't end up winning the tournament. But even in this last season, it appears everyone strayed away from him too. So I think he's just not quite effective enough to be, like if it were 15 or 20%, that would be like godly, GG. But with 10%, Prelea hits still 2,000 damage, 200 damage off. That's not a ton. So I'm going to put Roid either in like the C or the B tier. I feel good that he's a pretty good early tank, and I'm going to go ahead and stick him in the B tier. I'd say that's pretty solid. We have Verdehile. So if you look at Verdehile here, Verdehile says recovers mana of the ally summoner by 1. Additionally, if you inflict damage on the blood ring target with a skill. So this is actually a significant improvement from the Greenstone. The Greenstone only does, adds duration by 3 seconds, which is good, but it's not nearly as good as the Purple Stone. And this is theoretically the best mana booster you could get. I mean, unless you have like a legendary stone on Bernard, because it's usually a unit that people forget about, and so they don't always proc their heals to get rid of it. And most of the time that's because a lot of people are assessing like your legendary runes and never thinking, oh, Verdehile with the Purple Stone, So it's very easy to underestimate. The only downside is that even with high accuracy, he tends to glance a lot and not land the blood ring. I still think it's a solid choice, and I'm not going to go with S tier. I'm going to stick to A tier. I think his Purple Stone keeps him in the A tier for sure. Really solid move. At Khmun. So this is the Red Priest. He's actually one of my favorite units. That's why he was put up here at level 14 right now. But that being said, I don't think his Purple Stone is, 1, differentiated enough from his Green Stone, and 2, if you have Fynn or Kernodon or any other like blue hitter like Lapis, an AoE hitter, you can take out Khmun pretty quick. And so even with an increased HP pool, I'm not going to say I'm really impressed by it. So it's a little devastating to have to put him this low, but I think he's more of like a C tier when it comes to the Purple Stone. I'm sure a lot of you that have maybe like really strong energy runes would disagree and say, hey, I have him on set up on this, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough to like put him, I guess, his stone above anyone else's. It's definitely not an F, but nothing, not above that. Hwa's purple stone. So Hwa's decreases the mana cost of Burning Whip by 1. But this is similar to Khmun in that it doesn't like set itself apart very much from the green stone. I mean, I know Hwa is a bit expensive, but if you are able to defeat the opponent, and that's usually when you use Hwa, eliminating 1 mana, a lot of times if you're watching replays, a lot of times you win a game because you got rid of somebody's mana. And I'm not going to say it's as bad as Khmun's, but it's definitely not going to be in the top 2 tiers. So I'm going to stick it in the B tier. Hwa's is good. I like that it's less mana cost, but still not super impressed with it. I use Hwa personally, and in fact, if I were to pull Hwa's purple stone, I don't know if I would pick it over the green stone. Usually because I'm not mana hungry. You know, I think some teams are, whereas I'm not super mana hungry. Chloe. So Chloe with the purple stone. The purple stone is a passive. It creates a shield that's equivalent to 25% of your max HP when you get a critical hit. Chloe is renowned for this stone. I mean, I know people that will put this stone over their legendary stone. Because if you can't get to the back line and Chloe's in that 4th spot, or in some cases maybe in the 1st spot because they're switching it out with Mav or something, or they have a reviver, you often can't break it. I mean, it's harder than Kuhn on steroids. Like this mana shield part, I would say for sure is an S tier, purple stone. You get Chloe on purple and you should be relieved. And if you have her purple, you've got to give it a shot. You will not be disappointed. You've got teams like Camilla and Lushen and the Samurai, and when you throw on just her in general on your team, she protects you from all those big hits, and then keeps them from hitting into the back line if they don't have big backline hitters or anything. Really, it's our first S tier. So proud to say, a little early on, we got our first S tier person, Sophia. So let's check out Sophia. Sophia increases the damage of Spinning Slash by 20%. I mean, I might say this a lot, but this is kind of like a cop-out by Come to Us in that it's similar to Khmun, and it's similar to Hwa in that it feels equal to green. I mean, green in some ways might even be better than purple. In fact, not even some, in most ways. Because if you look at defense down, you land a triple defense down break, and you're talking about minus 75% defense break. You could get through Mav, Ramagos. You could get through Kuhn with this. I mean, it is probably one of the more deadly, probably the deadliest of the single target hitters with either of these stones. So I might even today switch it and try defense down, but I haven't been playing Sophia a lot. But it's still a very, very good stone. Even in arena, I'd probably go with this one because the defense down would be more valuable than the damage for sure. So if you're going arena, I'd go that in a heartbeat. Her stone is just too similar and not like, I guess, crazy good. I'm going to put it in the B tier. It helps pump her damage by a lot, but she's already a super strong hitter. And so I feel good about the B tier here. Meghan. So Meghan, I know from a lot of chat and chatter that a lot of people were looking for this one because think about this. You get Meghan, and then with her purple stone, you start with 2 more mana at the start of the game. And then let's say you have Lushen on his green stone. He's reduced by 1 mana, right? And then you pop out his skill within the first 2 seconds, and nobody can defend it. You know, it's a lot of times not even defendable, right? You're vulnerable by a lot of attacks, even Camilla comps. So a lot of people were seeking after this one. It is a very good stone, but the only reason I wouldn't consider it an S tier for probably just one reason. Meghan doesn't really work for every team, you know. She doesn't fit the same way Colleen might, because a lot of people like the sustain and the heal. She doesn't fit the same way Eleanor does, because they like the sustain and the defense. Or even someone like Shannon, you know, if they have their Shannon's purple stone, like, it feels like she's not just she's like the secondary pick, like if I have to. But if you're on like a dot team and you need the extra mana, a lot of people might put her in slot 1 because you're okay with repulling your cards, so you're trying to get her killed quick. You know, like if you didn't know that, it's pretty common to try and have her get killed quick so you can pull your other cards. So I'm going to definitely keep her in the A tier. A very, very good stone. It's comparable to these other two, just in regards to their purposes and what they do, but a little more on the niche side. Mav. So Mav actually has 2 purple stones. His first is increases the mana cost of change by 1, which is a bit of a bummer, but grants continuous recovery on you and the ally who you change with. So it provides you a little bit of healing. I'm not too excited about this stone because you run into DS comps. You know, I guess Belladeon also just does a whole lot of a better job. And increasing it by 1 mana cost, I mean, now you're pumping out 3 mana just to get this card going. And someone else's 3 mana translates to more damage on you. So I haven't actually seen Mav get used a lot here. I see Mav get paired with this green defense up a lot when they have copper teams. And even then, I guess I'm kind of trying to get at that. The second purple stone, this one that does not increase the mana cost, but it brings the card of the target who changes position with you in your hand when using duty change, is probably one of 2 most underestimated or underrated purple stones in the game. Like, I guess discovering how good this card is, I would put it in the S tier. But I think a lot of people will give me flack and say, you know, I don't understand the game or something. But I'm going to go ahead and just throw this one on the A tier as well. Because if you pair this right with Ramagos, or you pair this right with like Chloe, and you're able to keep them alive, and then in addition return their cards. So if Ramagos is at low life and you don't have the card to pair with, you switch it and then you go and kill their unit to heal. Or Chloe, you use it to defend Camilla. A Camilla or Lushen attack, and then you switch it, and then you use Chloe again to defend the next attack. Because there's always more than one, right? Like, there's like, it seems like on those nuke teams, they have like 3 nukers. It's like they are trying to cleave you to death, that's for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and put Mav is number 2 here under A. Let's see if I can get that. Perfect. All right. Hooray. Hooray, hooray. You know, that's probably my favorite thing to say. You know, he's half the party of a team. You know, you just take half his name there and you say, hooray. It's fun. But his purple stone is a passive, and it grants attack up 2 and acceleration 2 on all allies if you defeat an enemy with Ruthless Blow. This purple stone is a humongous mid-game leader. But timing is everything. And there are not a lot. In fact, there might just be 2 other people who give you acceleration. And acceleration, as you know in the game, is like the number 1 beneficial effect that has probably the greatest outcome on the game. So acceleration 2 and attack up 2 when killing the enemy. I'm going to put this one as it could be an S tier. It could, but I don't know. This is an interesting one, because you know, if you put him in the right composition, and he could pretty much end up winning you the game if he takes out a unit, you know? So, Hrae's Purple Stone, I'm going to go also, I'm going to go with S tier because getting acceleration and attack up 2 is yeah, there's almost no words for it. It's very, very good. Acceleration kills. It kills. We've got Ramagos. A lot of people like to refer to him as Ramagod. And the simple thing with Ramagos here is that you can't see all 3 of his stones because my stream blocks it off. But his first one is just a simple silver stone that says increases the recovery amount by 50% if you defeat an enemy with clean shot. And then you have increased the damage clean shot by 15. And then you have increased your HP by 20. Truth is, you can't go wrong with any of these 3. You can't. I mean, yes, his damage scales according to HP. But in the second one, his damage is scaling by the damage of clean shot. In his first one, a lot of times recovering his health, if you can put him back from... It seems like no matter how hard you hit him, the recovery's almost like capped. You know, because I've hit someone like 15,000 damage and I still only get healed 3,000. But if you put this first stone on here, you're getting, healed 4,500 or 5,000, which can pretty much put you all the way back up at top. So I'm not super impressed by his, and I'm going to stand by that and put him as a B as well. I could even put him as low as a C, but it's Ramagos, and he's good. He's really good. Like, he synergizes really well with it, but in some way he kind of synergizes the same way that Kuhn does. So it might not seem like I know what I'm doing here, but I can say with confidence that I'm going to go with my heart, I'm going to go with my gut, I'm going to go with my brain, all 3, the trifecta, and say he is a C unit because it's just nothing crazy spectacular. Maybe you pump 5 more HP on that and he goes up, but at 20%, I'm not super impressed. Oh, Bella. Bella in Italian means beautiful. Ooh, beautiful. Okay. Purple Stone for Bella increases the continuous recovery duration of Divine Beast Blessing by 3 seconds, while the mana cost is increased by 1. So, Bella is the best sustain unit in the game. I mean, hands down. I mean, if you can't see it, my hands down. Like, undisputed king, the best healer in the game. You give this purple stone to him, and all of a sudden, he's pumping usually almost an extra 1,100 life per tick. So each unit can get healed anywhere from 2,700 to 3,500. That's each unit. And if you have 6, 7, 8 units out, you're talking humongous gains. And for the extra 1 mana cost, it's absurd how good this is. The only way it can get blocked, is by beneficial block or by Dias, but those are, or even Ganymede's Purple Stone, but those are so minute compared to being able to heal and then pump this on and then even spam his card with Mav or someone else like Konamiya who can get it back to you. I'm going to put Belladeon as the undisputed king for healing and sustain, and absolutely an S tier. Absolutely an S tier unit. Okay. We're going to go to Ganymede. Now, it's ironic. I actually believe his green stone is much better than the purple stone. Not just by like a little bit. I think it's like significantly better. Because even if you get high enough accuracy on Ganymede's stone, there's no guarantee of landing the beneficial effect block. And it's so hard to time it. It's like you usually want to use Ganymede's card to prevent people from drawing or using their cards. And so when you put a beneficial block that doesn't even last super long, I mean, it lasts, like 2 seconds at most in game time? And it's like anti-purpose of the card. Because if someone used a skill and then you play it, you will have not burned that card that they were going to use in the first place. It might be a really good counter to Camilla's team, because if they do Chloe, right, you could post it up. But I don't know if there's enough of those teams to benefit from it. So Ganymede, in my opinion, is not gonna make it beyond the B tier for this. Is it niche? For sure. Do I think people could show you, like if someone said, I want to show you that this is an S tier stone, I absolutely think someone could build a team around it that makes it really, really good. But for the general use population, no, I don't think it's going to cut it. I don't think so. Nicki, she has a mana cost of 4. You can kind of see it here in the background. With her purple stone, it brings it down to 3. My biggest problem and drawback with her purple stone is that you don't need reduced mana cost for her skill anyways, because you're playing her as a counter unit. Because if you throw her out and they immunity or they heal or they do something, that, I mean, you're giving them the advantage by not countering. And so if you're countering, most of the time your mana pool is high enough to where you can not worry about her costing 4 mana in the first place. So the fact that you have to fit it in between the immunities and heals and stuff doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to go ahead and throw her down as a C. I'm not going to say she's an F because there are definitely some F tier units here. And I'm not going to say like she's an F. No. Minus 1 mana cost. It's good. It's just not great, you know? Or not even like super good. Okay. Okay, we've got Copper. So Copper is fun because he's a super aggressive unit, and with Copper, reduced mana on a huge hitter matters a lot because you're trying to spam, right, a Shannon or the green defensive twister guy. Can't remember his name right now. But mana matters a lot. And so if you can get that mana out faster, it's a huge help. I'm going to put this one, I would say it's close to S tier. You can see it's interesting. You know, minus 1 mana cost on Nicki is not nearly as good as minus 1 mana cost on like a Copper. But it's also not like game-breaking good. So I'm going to go ahead and let him hang out at A because it's very good. Gets you to break that first line. You need the mana. But it's not insanely powerful. It's a really well-balanced purple stone. Okay, we have Lushen. Okay, Lushen is interesting. And for one reason. There's probably, if I were to draw a line here, let me try and see the camera. If I were to like draw a line down the middle, I think half of the people that actually play Lushen play with a green stone. And half of the other people are playing with the purple stone. And the reason for that is some teams are just built better with Lushen getting out faster. And other teams are okay with using Lushen as like a counterplay. It just depends on if the team is built for counterplay or if it's built for really quick single nukes. And the best way to tell, there's one way to tell, is most of the time, aggressive Lushen teams will have like a Hua. And if they have a Hua unit out there, they'll use the green stone probably a majority of the time. I'm going to say 75 or 80% of the time. You can quote me on that, okay? And I'm not going to lie. Lushen already hits hard. But with the purple stone, Lushen hits even harder. But if I were to even make a green stone list of S tier, Lushen's would also be there. So regardless, Lushen is going to make it into the S tier with either of his stones because they're both very, very good. So don't feel disappointed if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to wait and use the purple stone, because I guarantee the green stone might end up performing better in ranked battles. Also depends maybe where you're on the trophies. We have Jeanne. Is this Jeanne or Jeanne or Jeanne? She has a stone just like some of the others we've seen before. And it's interesting because her damage is increased by 20% and her max HP by 20%. Whereas like the last stone we saw, I think it was Ramagos, it was like 15% and then 20% health. So it's interesting that they balanced this year, but it kind of just proves the point even more. With greater damage on the green stone, you're going to heal more. With great HP, you're technically going to do a little more damage, but I don't think more than 20%. But you will have more, I guess, capacity to heal. So these are super balanced stones. And Jeanne, I just don't feel a need to put her higher than like our C. Like, I'm not going to go as far as putting her in F because it's obviously not the case. I mean, I would say if you're around 3,000 trophies, you know, you're probably going to be using Jeanne a lot because it's a fantastic survival person and it can push you into, you know, the mid 4,500s probably. But I don't feel like her stone is game breaking or it's not going to give you a humongous boost. It'll give you enough, but her her effect alone is strong enough to, you know, do the work. Orion. Okay. Where are my Orion folks out? If you hear me, put your hands in the air. I am not. I'm putting my hands way below the air. I'm putting them straight on the ground. I've played enough Orion teams with purple stones to know that I do not like them at all. And the best part about Orion is that all of his other stones really aren't amazing. They're like, don't quote me on that. I mean, if you're gonna play Orion, then having the stone is obviously better than nothing. But where you really start to get the kick, and I mean like the real damage, is right here with Fever Time, because you get the card back with the mana cost reduced, and that means you can spam it even faster. You can prevent people from getting their cards really quickly. It's a very, very, very good, strong card that can destroy teams. In fact, I think if you have the purple stone, more than likely you're going to be playing it with your Thrain team or your Beretta team because it's a really good endgame stone. I might go as far as putting it in the S tier because it's more niche though, and some people, you know, swear by it and a lot of people don't. I would say I'm going to stick it more in the A tier, but it is one of those stones that just make, I mean, it makes a difference. It does. But I wouldn't build a team around it, I guess. You know? I guess if you already, I guess it would be S tier if like you had already built a team around it and you were going to use them, then it's fantastic, but you're not going to go making a team to make that happen. You know what I mean? Kernodon. Where are you at, buddy? All right, Kernodon. Probably one of the most misunderstood people just because they're new. It's like a newer unit, and for whatever reason, he never picked up in meta. And I bet you it has to do with the fact that he's still underleveled in a lot of team comps. So you can't go pulling, you know, a Kernodon that's a level 12 or even 13 on your main team when you're rolling with 15s, right? I have a feeling that Kernodon will end up being a super meta unit because his purple stone is the top, oh boy, I'd say top probably 5 best purple stones available. And the reason for that is because it's one of the only stones, unless you can, I mean, tell me differently, it's one of the only other stones that can do double damage, that doubles damage. You know, it goes from putting a dot on for every beneficial effect to putting on twice as many dots. So it's extremely powerful. It can obliterate frontline teams. The only downside, and I understand the balancing of it, and I don't want them to change it, is that immunity, you know, kind of destroys it. Like you would hope that he could break through immunity, but Kernodon can't. So I'm going to go ahead and throw Kernodons in S tier because his purple stone is absolutely fantastic. It doubles damage. He hits really hard. I mean, you put him against even strong players like Khmun here, he hits really hard. He can take out half of Khmun's life in a single blow. And it's, if you were to say, like, what is the perfect like, who can Kernodon destroy the best out of anybody that exists in the whole game? Lapis. 100%. If you're running into any Lapis problems, just put Kernodon on your team, and all of a sudden, Lapis is a nobody. Breaks right through the shield, and then in addition to breaking through the shield, lands a couple of dots. Lapis is a goner. Gone. All right. I'm glad I could tell you how much I like Kernodon. The lizard man needs some love, because you just don't get a whole lot of love. And I hope I can go back to the stream, I don't know, a couple months from now and say, I told you so. Like, next World Championship, we'll have Kernodon out there. Mikene, she has a super interesting purple stone, because most people, I think, are inclined to believe that having immunity with Mikene's heal is good. But don't fall for that trap. It is good, but it's not better than her Cradle of Water, the purple. Because her purple recovers the HP of the allies when Melody of Life, that's her skill, removes harmful effects. So depending on the number of harmful effects, you can recover life. So let me just put it this way. If you were to get hit by Beretta, okay, and then he landed all of his dots, and then you didn't have Mikene to block it or stop it, you'd be, 30% less life, because that's 6 times 5, 30% less life, okay, than your maximum. That's a lot, okay? But then Beretta hits you again, but this time, after he hits you, you use Cradle of Life, you will more than likely recover just about all the life you lost. I mean, it can recover you. I've seen it go out, 1,500, 2,000, depending on how many different dots they have on you. It's outstanding. All it has to do with timing, and so if you have this stone, learn how to time it when Kobold throws bombs at you. Learn how to time it when you get slammed by Hraesvelg, or you got stun blocked with Prelea. Just learn it, because you're going to heal with it, and it's going to be awesome. You're actually probably the only time the team, your opponent will be helping you out. Like, how cool is that? Your opponent gets to help you. I mean, it's just beautiful. Helps you by healing you. Racuni. Racuni's purple stone is the little hummingbird, and it's a passive. It recovers HP of 2 allies with the worst HP condition whenever the card gets in your hand. The cooldown time exists. So you know what I'm going to say about this one? Not that I want to take like the cheater's way out or something, but because we're on a stream and this sounds just like a lot of fun, this is kind of like the X Factor. I want to let you decide after the stream. Maybe just leave it in the comments. I'm going to post this video on YouTube after editing it and stuff. But if you have any thoughts, be sure to look for it and share with me. Where do you think Racuni belongs? Because I would love to hear that. Oh, I didn't put Mikene anywhere. She's the single best dot defender. Timing is everything. And with her, you can say dots are friends. So she is absolutely an S tier unit with her purple stone. Very, very strong. Racuni, I'm actually going to get a move over here. You can decide what Racuni is. And if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. Next is Elucia. Or is it Elucia? Her purple stone has 2 of them. Grants invincible and immunity on the allied target if the target's HP is fully recovered from Purify. The cooldown time exists. And then the next stone is a passive, which heals an ally by Elucia's attack power whenever the ally uses the skill. So the one that most teams run is Fairy's Blessing. And Fairy's Blessing is the best single target defender. The only problem is that there aren't enough single target teams to like truly benefit from this. Those AoE teams with like Rakan and Lapis and Prelea, or even like those big ginormous crowd control teams with like Tesarion and Thrain, it's just not good enough. It's still, by the nature of the skill, it's good. So I'm going to put it as, it could be A. It could be. And it is a pain in the butt to face it towards the end of a match when you're maybe trying to blow through. So with a strong Elucia, you know, that can refill you to life, like 4,000, 5,000 HP, I'm going to go ahead and put it in A, because it is a really good. It is really good. All right. Let's go ahead and what Shannon does. And I bet you without even pressing this button, a majority of the player base will know what her purple stone is. Even those who are running like early game, because for whatever reason, those people who have this stone, they use it, they love it, they abuse it. It's awesome. It's called Blink, which I don't know if is like the perfect name for it. Maybe they just needed to throw a name out there really quick. But it grants mana cost up on the basic attack target with a fixed chance. So whoever's in the very front of the line, their mana is going to get more and more expensive. And like I said, very notorious. I bet you new players, although, you know, when they're first meeting or matching with them, they ask themselves, like, what is happening? Is this like a bug? Like they're probably getting, you know, contacting summoners who are saying, I just had my mana get more expensive. I think there's an error on your guys' side. At least that's what I thought when I went against it. Or I guess the alternative is you could be thinking like, is my person experiencing like a midlife crisis? Yeah, that is the case. Okay, so I'm going to put Shannon where everybody knows Shannon goes, right there in S tier. If you get Shannon's purple stone, you are absolutely deserving to use it, and you should probably find a way to fit Shannon in your team. Unless there's absolutely no way to fit her, you don't have to force her in, but I think you'll find a way because she's easy to fit in. She boosts you quite a lot with your defense and attack. Really quite a good monster to have. Rakan. So Rakan does damage, reduces the cost of leap. He's attack based, so the mana cost reduction on green is nice. Having the extra damage is great, but he's still super expensive, and he just doesn't justify hitting that hard. Like if you look at his legendary stone, it's amazing because the attack power goes up by 15 every 25%, so you get 30% halfway, and even 45%, and your mana cost is reduced. It's like it takes the best of both. But on its own, this Rakan purple is garbage. I would say it's not the worst of the worst, but it's not good either. So I'm going to throw it C with the rest of these folks down here. They're a really expensive unit. And even on like Vampire Self-Heal, Rakan just doesn't do enough damage to justify it. So I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to stick to my gut. I think that's a good call. Tesarion. So looking at Tesarion, we've got their ancient power, the purple stone. Fire Crush grants stun on the target additionally with a fixed chance. With that fixed chance, it's hard to say how much of a chance that is, but in my experience, it'll usually stun like 2 people on my team. It's pretty underwhelming when the green stone is so good. I just don't know. If you had the green stone, I don't know why you would ever play the red stone. I mean, there's no need for crowd control when you can just destroy the crowd. Like you can destroy the crowd. Why do you need crowd control when they're all gone? You know what I mean? Like they're all gone. So I'm going to stick with this purple stone for Tesarion being a B tier. It's fun in that it's different. I love that it has a wide range and it's AoE, but it's just not, it's not better than the green stone, and the green stone is just, it's where my heart's at, I think. I'm not trying to be biased, but I'm just not super impressed by it. Kind of feels like on equal level with Ganymede, so this just feels like the right spot for it. I have Camilla. So Camilla already hits really hard. I mean, it ignores defense, you know, her attack. And her purple stone increases the damage of her attack by 20%. When you're getting hit as hard as you are with Camilla without any defense, it is extremely painful. So this is probably one of the few times when I would say it's better than Khmun's. 20% HP, or it's better than Sophia's, 20% extra attack, because she's hitting a wide range of people and doing a lot of damage. So I'm going to say Camilla is an A tier unit with her purple stone. Really solid choice. Yeah, I could see people going with that stone and feel really good about it, especially when you're playing Camilla. It's almost like a necessary stone to even play Camilla. Like, that's how important or good it is. Is Molong. Okay, Molong. So Molong is a 4 mana cost unit, and the purple stone decreases the mana cost by 1. And this is one of the few times I would say it's kind of necessary. Like, it's necessary to have that mana reduction to even play Molong, because most of the time you're either going to accidentally cast Molong to defend a single target hitter who ends up getting half of their hits off without you even defending it. Someone really quick like Hua or Sophia, or Seek or something. And so you'll probably only defend half of it. And you won't always use it to the person that maybe you want to use it against, like Brett or something. And using it is quite expensive. So I would say Molong's purple stone is a game changer. Like, you're actually causing not just more damage, you're not just healing yourself from the fact that, they casted Beretta and you were able to block it, but you're also doing it in a way that it reduces the mana cost. And if you were to add, say, something like even Swift on them, you're now talking about a 2 mana cost that could get out before their Meghan Lushen with Swift could get out. So I have to say he is an S-tiered monster on purple, and it's fun to see Molong on teams because he is such a good counter, and it does take a good amount of skill to balance when to use him and how to use him. But Molong on purple is very, very good. Yes, I can stand by that decision. He is good. Ritesh. So Ritesh decreases the mana cost of Trick by Wind by 1, but you notice he's not an S tier like Molong, mostly because why would he not be S tier? Well, that's hard to say. I mean, maybe Molong and Ritesh are both A tier because Ritesh is an attack type, and you really benefit from an attack type person that has to, after you use Ritesh, you're going to want to end up using copper, right? So I'm going to put Ritesh in the A group, but I don't know how I can justify Molong being in the S group if Ritesh is in the A group. So I'm going to switch Molong back down here because it feels right. Because they're both equivalent, both very good stones, but maybe it's not game breaking. Like, I wouldn't go about building a team around it, but I might highly consider throwing him on the team. I just might not build a team around it. So still very good. I like that choice. If any of you have any thoughts, be sure to share them, all right? Seara says here I've got Seara next. So let's pull up Seara. We've got Seara with a decreased mana cost of Promised Time by 1. I think people that have Kobold and Beretta would swear by this. I mean, Seara is absolutely necessary to get out if most teams have heals. So I would say Seara is going to be A tier with the rest of these folks that are -1. This is probably one of the few times I might say that it is S tier because she's so powerful. I mean, this is someone who you might build a team around with a reduction of cost and mana. And the best part is you're probably even going to build a team around her without the reduction in mana. So this is probably one of the few times I would say her skill is better than the other two because it hits a wide range of teams. It speeds up everything, and it's incredibly important to have her with that reduction in mana. So S tier unit compared to these other two, even though they're the same skill. Just fits for her really, really well. Is Artamiel. Does Artamiel have a purple stone? Yes. Okay. Sweet. So Artamiel does have a purple stone, and it's decreased the mana cost of Heavenly Sword by 1. An attack type person, but a lot of times this is a counterplay because they'll throw on their spell shield or they'll throw on an immunity and invincibility. And so I would say this is probably more like B tier just because you're always going to have the mana. You know what? I'd even say C tier. You're just always going to have the mana to play Artamiel, and it's just not game breaking. It is good, just not game breaking. I'm not super impressed by it. You can see how even these other ones who have -1 to mana, it's just not as good as the rest of them. It just doesn't do the same thing as the others do. Our next unit, Eleanor. So, Eleanor's purple stone decreases the mana cost of Holy Horn. How ironic that I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, now my 5th purple stone that decreases the mana cost of somebody. So, her skill recovers the HP, so it's a heal, removes the harmful effects, and grants crit resist up. And the problem with her is that she does not give the attack up like Colleen. And so I think people put Colleen more often than not. However, when you're on her line, I believe, no, this is not the one. She does transform, and she has that like thorns type attack where if you hit her, damage is done back to you. It's a good unit, and I have seen some high level players use her in like slot 3 or 4. But I will say Eleanor's falls probably into like the B range. Not super impressed with it. Doesn't help a ton. And I might even, I might even say it's C tier. Yeah. I'm going to go with C tier with Artamiel. It's not super impressive. It is good, not game breaking. Still not terrible. Okay, Ragdoll. All right. Yes, an attack type monster with a decrease the mana cost by 1. Definitely a winner with this one. But I wouldn't call it like a huge winner because you're going to essentially wait to play Ragdoll for the specific unit you're trying to hit. And so for that reason, I'm going to put Ragdoll with B, because by the time you need to use Ragdoll, you're going to have the mana. And it's not like, it's definitely good, and you would use Ragdoll more. I don't know if you'd even use Ragdoll if he costs 4 mana. I don't know if there's like that benefit of it. I'd say by necessity, Ragdoll should be a 3 to even want to play or use him. But he's also a legendary unit, and he's super hard to level up, and I just don't feel like he benefits as much as, say, somebody else with that. So that is good. We're Galleon. So Galleon's a bit fun because I would say this is an S tier purple stone for an arena battle. Like you don't, you get the set effect, which is super helpful on like barrier battle and stuff. But having this in arena gives you 35% accuracy, which just about guarantees landing every single one of his defense breaks. And if you land those defense breaks with somebody like Tesarion, you're doing a whole lot of damage. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw up Galleon as an A tier purple stone. Really, really well played here. I think it's solid. Some people will probably put it a little bit lower because it's not like it's super fascinating, but it does its job. And that's all that's important. It gets the job done. So let's do Soha before I do that. So Soha's Purple Stone increases the recovery of Spirit Stealing by 30%. If you have Soha, your only priority is to get accuracy to at least 60%. I mean, that's like the bare minimum. You should try and get it to 75. You know, like you've got to get it up there. I think the max you can have with accuracy, even though you can get to 100, you know, is I think like 85 is where it becomes kind of pointless after that. But you need to get it up. And the recovery should legitimately be the green stone, and the green stone should be the purple stone, because there's no reason you would ever use her to heal when there's so many other good healers like Colleen. There's just no reason. So this is going to be our very first F tier purple stone. It's no good. Zero bueno. Zero bene, the worst. And every time I would use the green stone, I don't know how the purple stone is considered equipped. It is embarrassing my stream. It's definitely not the better stone. I'm going to put this one on. By default, increases to 30%. It's wonderful. To Kuhn. Many of you will know Kuhn as, like, what is it? The animated person off of Elsa, the big ice giant there at the end, throwing the big old snowballs. I've seen a lot of these kids' movies because my daughter's like 3 and absolutely loves them. And I mean, I love them too. I mean, what can you say? So let's go ahead and check out Kuhn's purple skill. Kuhn is guaranteed to be included in your hands at the start of the battle. That's pretty cool. Decreases the incoming damage by 20% if your HP is at 50% or below. So it's kind of like a bit of steroids, right? A bit of roids, because it's 10%. But in this case, it's 20% at 50% or below. Now, Kuhn is already a super defensive unit and has high health and is most often in the front line anyways. If it gets hit or somebody tries to freeze, most of the time it's because they pull a Sophia or like a Fynn in the back line. And so Kuhn's freeze doesn't even really help at that point. But his passive is still very good, and having his card in your hand is good. And so I'm going to go with Kuhn being, you know, for some teams, I'd go as far as saying it's S tier because it's like, yeah, it's super cool, and they probably build the team around it to make it happen. But it's one of the more unique ones, and so I'm going to go with A tier as well because it's fun to play, and it gives you like a variety of options to pull off. So it's pretty cool. All in all, it's a pretty cool move, or a pretty cool stone. Orochi. So Orochi is the guy who does not die. Let's see. Passive. Goes into endure state for 7 seconds. If you receive damage that may cause you to die. Oh, I guess that was the sentence. Goes into endure state for 7 seconds if you receive damage that may cause you to die. Perfect. And the current HP doesn't fall below 1 while in endure state. You know what else takes 7 seconds? The amount of time it takes food to pass from your mouth to your stomach. It's also the cause for that food in your stomach to come and pass through your mouth again after what I would call a nail-biting finish. You get to either Orochi on the back line. I'm seeing more and more teams put him in the second spot or even the last spot, and you are barely surviving, and then you're on what is like your last attack, and you're thinking, I can finish it off, and Orochi just sits there for 7 seconds and takes the beating. Or in return, you have him paired with Elucia, and then gets the beating, gets the endure state, gets healed back up, and then maved out of there. I mean, you can see I feel like I've been punished by him. And I see him like quite often, but I don't see him paired with Mushu a lot because maybe Mushu's underleveled or they just don't have, I don't know. I don't know why I don't see Mushu as much as I do. Probably just underleveled. So I'm going to say Orochi's skill is S tier. It is one of the more defining ones. It's definitely one of the more exciting ones. It's not like Seara's -1 mana cost, which is embarrassing to have up here in the S tier, but she's just such a good unit and so important to so many teams. I guess the only problem I have with Seara being in the S tier, and this is where I might have to fix it and push it down, is that Seara, I don't know how game-breaking -1 mana is on Seara. Like, a lot of times when you throw Kobold out there, you're not going to throw Kobold's bombs or Beretta's dots unless you have Seara's. But I guess it lets you do it faster. So I'm going to stand by the S tier because it lets you pull off that move quicker. And speed is everything. Speed is king, right? All right. Orochi, I'm sorry I gave some of that spotlight to Seara. My bad. My bad. I won't do that to you, Colleen, okay? So let's check out Colleen. So Colleen's passive decreases all recovery effects that enemies receive by 30%. I need someone to convince me that this is not the single worst purple stone in the existence of every mobile game. Please tell me otherwise. Because I'm looking at this purple stone and saying, why would you ever use it when you can recover 20% of your life? Okay? The thing with the wound effect infection is that it would be amazing if it was like 50%, okay? But at 30%, you have to hope that their team even has a healer to use it. I mean, not every team has some healer, okay? And not every team is even built around the concept of sustain. So when you're running a greenstone, you're guaranteeing that your team is getting healed 20% more. And that's a big deal. Like, I don't know why the purple stone exists. It's not worth it. And it definitely shares a spot here down with Soha as being one of the worst purple stones to exist. Yep. That's right. My phone is ringing off the hook. People are challenging that. So, let's check out the next one. I think we have called Kobold. So, this is the Gibraltar. His purple stone is unique because it's super engaging. It's different. The animations is fun. But its passive is to, when you get defeated, it jumps into the enemy line to inflict exploding damage. It's like, you go throw yourself into a person and you explode. That ignores defense on the forefront enemy. So more than likely, the front enemy will end up dying by it. I mean, as long as it's not, say, like Kuhn, right? Like, that would be terrible. But if it was somebody that was, maybe in slot 3, like maybe like a Hathor, definitely not like a Elucia, but even like maybe a Mav or a Roid, like it would either at full health take them beyond half health or even take them out entirely. It's really cool to see some of the creative things some top players have done by pairing this person with a reviver like Khmun, or I can't remember the other ways they've done it, but I've definitely been self-exploded more than once in 10 seconds. So really well executed on their part. Still a very fun one to play. But you are sacrificing an extra bomb, and if your person is strong enough to self-explode, causing damage to the forefront enemy, that other bomb is strong enough to kill something in the back line. So I'm going to put this as kind of like, it's an in-betweener. Like, it feels like it's an A or a B. Because of the animation and the fun, I'm going to say it's an A tier. But it could also be B because the green one, I think, is just so much more effective at its job. Konamiya. I need to watch what I say about Konamiya because everybody and their sisters and mothers plays Konamiya in slot 1 with a purple stone. And I think it's for 2 reasons. One is because they want to get that front unit killed quickly so that they can rotate their cards quickly. And it provides that little bit of healing they might need if they're getting beat up in the back line or hit, by some Lapises in the front line. It's a good card, but I think, and this is my opinion, and I know I'm saying this live, but it's probably the most overrated stone in the game. 100%. 100% the most overrated stone in the game. And I'm not going to say it's terrible. It's not like it's an F or a C. But in my opinion, it falls hard in the B area. It's creative. It's different. And maybe I need to see a therapist because it's done me wrong maybe many times. But it feels like anytime I play a Konami in the front line, I win that battle. Like, I'm not trying to exaggerate. Just it feels like it doesn't execute the way that maybe it should. And there's a guildmate I have who actually puts Konami in the front line and then has some kind of resurrect that pulls him back. And it's a really interesting concept because then you get a double heal. And that seems to be working for that person. And so I'd say, yeah, if you want to try and pull that off and it works for you, go for it. But I'm just not convinced that it's a really, really strong card. I know if this were maybe another streamer's, because of the popularity or maybe because they just see it as being so much, they've used it personally in ways that has won them the game or something, maybe it's up here in the front. But I'm not really impressed by it. Is Perna. So, what we've got here is Perna. Perna with 1,000,000 health or 0 is the same. The purple does not improve his Eternal Flame. Actually, now that I just said that, I feel like I need to say that again if I can remember it, because that came off as like a beautiful rhyme. Whether his health is 1,000,000 or 0, it's the same. It's the same. The purple just doesn't improve his Eternal Flame. Yes, if someone start beating for me, little beatboxing, throwing my head back and forth. Yeah, that's the truth. Perna with extra health is not beneficial in any way. Green outshines this by 1,000,000-fold. I am going to throw this one down with the rest of our F-tiered folks. The green stone should absolutely be the purple stone. They must have made a mistake when they were releasing it, because there's no reason why that would be purple. Nada. 0. Niente. Okay. Wusa. We've got Wusa in the building. And he has a decreased mana cost of Wish of Immortality by 1. This is extremely effective. He's a 5 mana cost unit. You pull him down to 4. He now protects you from dots. Even dots that have already hit you. Just the fact it provides you that good sized shield. It is insanely good. It helps put you in a position where you're not sucking for mana, because 5 is really expensive, and sometimes you can't justify throwing 5 mana down, especially when, say, their unit let's check this one out here. Their unit where's he at? Beretta only costs 4, so it's like you're throwing this one down for a 5 mana coster, but now when you get him down to 4, it keeps you up with someone like Beretta. It is very, very, very strong. Too bad it's a legendary unit, because if you had this at 15 with this stone, you would be very, 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 very happy. It'd be like a wonderful Christmas. Probably call it Christmas for the next couple of weeks because it's so darn good. It is probably up there with Seara in terms of usefulness. So I'm going to go ahead and drop him in the S tier as well. I think it's a safe place for him to be. If you disagree, first, that's impressive. I like people that disagree. That's great. But I also think you might not have played Wusa with only 4 mana, because it is crazy to see them pop that out so early if you're trying to get Beretta out. Really well done. And most of the time, people have Beretta on Violent anyways, so you could even suck another mana lower for Wusa by putting him on Swift, and it's a really good game winner. Also, don't feel bad if you end up having Wusa's Greenstone. You get the shield and the immunity, and both of those being increased is good. It's definitely not bad. Now that I put him S, I have to take it back. I gotta put Wusa in the A tier. at the end of this, I might have to go and kind of sift through these once I've put them, because I'm seeing a good amount of A-tiered purple stones. That's probably a good thing, because purple stones are supposed to be better than their counterpart, the green one. So this is a good sign. I'm not going to overload the S tier, because Wusa, I think I'm just putting into consideration that his skill is really good, not so much the mana cost of it. Like, I'm going to leave it here for now. Yeah. Hathor. So, albeit a decent stone, it's a decrease the mana cost of Delayed Promise by 1. You'll usually always have the mana to cast her. I mean, she's a defensive unit. The green stone increases the sleep duration by 3 seconds. I think I almost have to whisper this, because I don't want to wake Hathor up or something, you know? Like, it outshines the purple stone in every way. It's only a 4 mana cost monster, and if you have never experienced being slept to death, like, I know you probably go to bed at night and say, I just wish I could sleep forever, you know, like some hyperbolic statement. Like, this isn't like waking up after a nice nap feeling refreshed. This is like napping and just never waking up, except for every time you wake up, it's because you got punched in the face. And then as soon as you got punched in the face, you go back to sleep. That's how it feels. And a lot of times you'll experience that when you're on your last 4 units and they just want to Hathor you, and get punched in the face. So I've had some miserable experiences with them. Still it is a fun unit. Like, I'm not going to lie. I don't want them to nerf it, to change it. It's just the green one outshines Hathor's purple in every way. And so I'm going to throw her purple down all the way to the C tier. It's not nearly as bad as his bottom 3, but it is still like Artamiel. I mean, you don't need the reduced mana cost. And especially because the backline, most of the time, they're high mana cost units anyways. I mean, not like Seek and Fynn, but you just have something like Hua, or even like a Ragdoll, or I don't know, like, what else do people put back there? Like Berettas and stuff, or Thrains. Like, they're high cost mana, so it's not necessary. All right, Jeanne. So Jeanne super shines with the Legendary Stone. Otherwise, he kind of gets bricked by blue units. I mean, I'm looking at you, Fynn. If you have a Fynn on your team and you're going against a Jeanne, Jeanne just is not gonna break through Fynn. No way. They might hit the first third of the health, and then the next third of the health, and then you'll somehow heal back up, and then you'll immunity it, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's the end of the game, and Jeanne has tried to kill Fynn over the course of 1 minute and 30 seconds, and nothing. That's at least how I feel, because I have Fynn. But increasing the critical rate by 30% is super beneficial. I mean, it's like, what, 1.5 blade rune effects? Like, doesn't blade give 20%? So it's pretty good in that way. It doesn't stand out like crazy, so I'm going to go ahead and put that as a B, because, and this is interesting, because you look at someone like Jeanne that has crit rate increased, and you look at somebody like Fynn who has crit rate increased, and they're just 2 different units, because Jeanne, you know, it's the highest attack power unit, and I guess against, like, say, like a Lushen, it might be really good, or maybe even like a Prelea, or maybe if they have Rakan or something, maybe. But even Rakan has the immunity. But Fynn, on the other hand, he goes from front to back, and that increased crit rate is definitely a little better than Jeanne's increased critical rate. Also, because his critical rate, you know, for Jeanne doesn't really do anything on this. It doesn't increase the stun effect. Whereas with Fynn, it increased the freeze, you know, and it's pretty stinking cool. Lapis, I know you're next. I don't use you often enough. So Lapis increases the damage of retrieve magic by 25%. Purple makes Lapis a starter on most cleave teams. I'd say if not all cleave teams. Not just because of damage, but because of that incredibly robust shield. Have you ever seen a Lapis go from 1 life, okay, just keep in mind, to 1 life, and then recover their shield 100%, so their entire health bar is now just a big old shield? That's what Lapis can do with this kind of damage stone. The green stone is garbage. I mean, that should be, picked up on a Tuesday trash day. But the purple stone is very, very, very good. And it is absolutely A tier with somebody like Fynn and Verdehile and others. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that on there. Bring out your dead. Let's do this. We've got Seek. So Seek has a passive. It grants attack up 2 and crit rate up 2 on yourself whenever an enemy is defeated. This one's interesting because to kill the enemy, right, most of the time you will have already had to use him because he's your highest attack power unit. So you will have had to use him to kill an enemy most of the time. And you won't get his card back to really even benefit from the attack up and crit rate. And so you have to wait to use him, and by the time you use him again, it's expired. Or the alternative is you don't use him to kill anybody, and then the rest of the units have to try and kill someone, which they might do super ineffectively. I mean, a lot of times if you see their purple stone there, you'll see them paired with like Fynn and Sophia, like single target hitters, and they'll alternate based on color. But if you get the wrong color at first, right, and let's say the front unit is a Ramagos and Sophia doesn't break the Ramagos, you now will want to use your Seek to finish him off. And it's like counterintuitive in my opinion. So I don't like that the stone makes you kind of wait to use him, and by the time you would use him, if someone like Sophia failed on a break, it's too late because now he's going to easily kill whatever unit is there without even needing the attack up and crit rate up. So it's just one of those stones where it's definitely not going to be like F tier. It's probably more around the B tier stone because you can make it work. You can. I just don't like how they designed it. I wish it said something like grants attack up and crit rate up on another unit other than yourself. Then I feel like this would be better. But as soon as you put it on yourself, it doesn't work. I don't like it. Yeah, that would be much, much better. We skipped Thrain. I don't know how we did that. I mean, it's right here on my list. I just skipped right over on my eyeballs. So let's go ahead and check out Thrain. So Thrain heals the ally with the lowest HP by 25% of the damage dealt when using Doomsday. I think most people love the concept of the stone. I'm just afraid that the utility of it does not match what we imagine. Like, it plays well because you see your life going up, but by the time you're using Thrain in the first place, units are dying. They're getting popped. I mean, you're down to 3 or 4 units. They're getting hit really hard, and more than likely you're going to want to try and kill them faster with increased damage. So I don't see why Soul Reap would be like hugely effective, because Thrain's goal is not to try and sustain, it's to try and nuke. It's probably one of the units where like by the end of the game your team is hiding in the bunkers, kind of waiting for those nukes to go off. Like that's exactly how it feels. Like it feels like it's nuclear warfare, and they're just hiding, thinking, okay, 3, 4, how many? 6 hits? Like it's just like it's crazy. It's just not as good. I just don't want to put it up with even S or A. Like, in my opinion, it's truly more like a B stone. I know people use it. I know. But why would you choose it over a damage stone? Like, if you're truly committed to killing a team, like, commit to the damage aspect. Like, You're not playing little Mary Poppins, right? You're not trying to like boost everybody's confidence, give them a couple like 300 health pop, be like 1,000 health. You can just go with Belladeon if you want to heal her, right? Okay, that's my TED talk on Thrain. Okay, Prelea, we are down to just about our last 10, so we're going to check this out. So Prelea, she has a nice AoE attack that with the purple includes a stun. A 30% chance is a whole lot better than a 25% chance, because it kind of makes you feel like it's kind of saying it's 50% chance if you kind of round up in your head like, oh, that's 2 units, you know. But most of the time, you're going to end up getting 1 stun block on somebody, and it's not even going to be the person you wanted to stun, right? So it's a super solid skill on an already meta unit. And so I don't want the meta unit to like play in my head that this is really good, because the stone is kind of lackluster, and it's balanced, but it's lackluster. So I'm going to go ahead and also throw Prelea's stone in the B rank with Thrain. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that, Thrain and Prelea. I don't have any hate towards them, okay? I promise. None. Zada. Nip. Poseidon. So, his purple stone is accuracy, and it increases the accuracy by 35%. I don't remember if Galleon's increased it by 35%. It might have been somewhat close to that. But I would say this is, again, like an A tier if it were an arena team. You know, but most of the time on an arena team, you might have another purple stone that's better. You know, because any of those S tier, I mean, their purple stones are going to be better. So on your arena time, you're going to have one of those units, and that purple is going to be better than this. Think of it that way. Like, if you're on an arena team, which one would you give the purple stone to? And Poseidon is not that person. I would say it's nice. I like it. It definitely helps if you don't want to run it on focus and you want to go with, like, Violent. I know that Violent is a fantastic set on this person. So I'm going to throw this on B because it gives you the ability to get off of a focus rune set, but it's also not like super overpowered. Have the Scarab. So the Scarab has increased your resistance by 35%. I laugh because I smile. I get excited anytime I get to play against a Scarab, because Scarab is just so underwhelming. They're not super strong. I mean, it was released in like season 2 or 3, so it's like it seems like they're underleveled for the most part. And then on top of that, their defense isn't super strong. I guess it's because I play with Fynn, and Fynn can bust through it pretty quick. And I guess I'm not on the Scarab side, you know? I'm on the other side looking in thinking, you could have played any other unit like Kuhn, you know? Why did you play Scarab? But I will say, I love playing off-meta teams, so playing someone like Scarab is super exciting to me, because it's like, hey, you're trying something different, so high five to anybody that's a Scarab fan, okay? Just a big high five, even a high 10. Like, I'm down to high 10 that. But still, you don't need the extra resistance. I don't see why they would do that. I guess it would to keep you get frozen by Finn's attack or something. But I'm going to go ahead and throw Scarab with the rest of these folks here at the bottom. I don't like it. I don't like that I have to do this. I just don't like the resistance being there. I feel like having defense up for additional time is even better. It keeps you in your secret position for even longer, or your little crouched palm position. Yeah. It is definitely not my cup of soda. Or I think people say cup of tea, but that's okay. DS. So if you've watched any of my streams, you know I do not a fan of DS. He's like anti my team. And it seems like anybody over 5,400 loves DS. And I know why, because he's super effective. Hits really hard, has a ton of life, and on top of a ton of life, guess what he has? Unrecoverable. And so you can't even heal. It's like he sucks the life out of you. Like, is there any fun in getting this life sucked out of you? He is the Death Knight, so that is very appropriate. His beneficial effect is increases your HP by 20%. A lot of other people that we've mentioned have that same beneficial effect, like Ramagos here, who's all the way in the C tier. But his is very different because this guy has so much life that an additional 20% is... it's unreal. The problem is that nobody plays him for the additional life. They play him for the unrecoverable effect. And if you can, you know, if you have the green stone, you're probably going to end up having DS in like slot 3 or 4. And if they have the purple stone, you'll probably have DS in like slot 1 or 2 because he's very, very hard to get through and break. But for it being such a good stone, it also isn't super viable. So I'm going to go ahead and, even though it deserves to be all the way up in S tier, it's not the right place for him. And I'm going to throw it all the way down in B tier because, in my opinion, it's a little bit better than somebody like Ramagos. But it's just not what the guy's made for. And so I think the green stone ends up working out for more people that play DS. In my personal opinion, if I were playing against DS, I hate when they use the green stone because 6 seconds is a super long time. It is a very, very long time. So it's kind of like falling into Hathor's trap. Except Hathor, you get to sleep, and Death Knight, you get to die. What a great compromise. Beretta is, in probably most people's opinion, not just my opinion, has the single best purple stone in the game. Without a doubt. I mean, that is 10% more damage on potentially every single person. So you're running 8 people out there. That is essentially 8 times 10%, 80% more. That's like taking out an additional unit. It is that powerful. So Beretta, without further ado, I am going to put you where you belong, which is right up here with your other buddies in the S tier. If I had, you know what? If I had, like, say, a double S tier, which now that I think about it, might have been kind of nice, you know, I would have put Beretta there for sure. I think it would have been like Beretta and like Belladeon and maybe Mikene and Shannon, you know, for like SS tier. Mushu with the purple stone increases the damage per harmful effect of La Vie en Rose. It's a beautiful song. If you haven't heard it, be sure to listen to it. In fact, I might play it in the background next time just to kind of, you know, give the vibe. It's a nice chill vibe. I love it. But with Mushu, it's good, and it's probably the most effective way to spread harmful effects, but I don't like the wording. Like, how much damage is being increased when you do this? So just because I don't understand the damage concept, and I just don't know why people would do it, I'm going to throw her down here in the C tier. It's very possible that it's, what, maybe 5%, 10%, you know, 15% per whatever it is, but I just don't know. And a lot of people at least have one that says, like, you know, 20% more damage, like Sophia does, right? Hers just doesn't say, and I wish it would just say how much it is per harmful effect, because that would make it a lot easier to decide. Okay. And I bet you it probably is something like 5, and if it was 5, it just, I guess if you had a ton of dots on them, it's nice, but it still isn't, in my opinion, the best. Is very well known for his anime style 1/kill everybody thing, which happens to be like 3 like super fast subtle slashes, right? Like kind of thing. Increases the damage of Black Moon by 20%. I like that. 20% is good. I take good. I like that. But he already hits really hard. He gives unrecoverable, so it's almost like the extra damage doesn't really matter because he's just going to prick you with the unrecoverable, and you're going to end up dying anyways. So I don't value this stone I guess, any better than the green stone that this person has. So I'm going to go ahead and throw Siege down here with Mushu. It's not a super good purple stone. There's not necessary. When you have an unrecoverable, it's basically like Khmun. You know, even Khmun essentially is better than this guy's stone because he already hits really hard. And granting unrecoverable, yeah, I'm just at this point repeating myself on it. It's just not very helpful. Cali in the building. California. Okay. Purple. We got grants crit rate up 2 on all allies if Burning Spiral lands as a critical hit. Now, I think this, hear me out, this might catch everyone by surprise, okay? When I said there are 2 underrated stones, the first one was Mav's card switcheroo one that replaces somebody and gives you their card back. The second is this one. This is the most underrated purple stone in the game. He's literally like Oprah. You get a blade set effect. You get one. You get one. You get one. Well, that's what it is, because crit rate up 2, if you click on it, it tells you. Number 2 gives you 20%. A crit rate 20% on your whole team. That's what the blade set effect does. Everyone gets a free blade set effect. And you know who else does that we already discussed earlier? Yeah, I'm pointing at him right now. Hooray. And you know where Hraesvelg is? S tier. If you can give someone 20% crit rate, then you, my friend, are S tier monster. Like, that is amazing. And you already hit really hard. It's not like you need extra damage or anything. You're going to take some... You're basically, with your spear, you're literally going to take out the front line unit and the back line unit. If they're lined up just right, and, like, they're not agile like Sophia, you know, like, swing back and forth kind of thing, like, you're going to end up taking them both out by default. You know, hasn't happened to me yet, because I always got the agile ones in the back. But, man, I'll tell you, it could happen. His spears are pretty dang hard and fast. So that one, I think, is one of those underrated ones. I'm glad I got to address that with everybody, because if you have it, please use it. You'll be surprised. This Tegaros. His stone inflicts continuous damage on the basic attack target. The cooldown time exists. So with Tegaros, this is, how do I say, this is kind of like best explained. This is kind of best described as like a mini Thanos. Okay? It's niche in this way, but when paired with someone like Woosa's Legendary Stone, which if you had it and you had this person, it's a wonderful combination. Or if you just didn't have Woosa's Legendary Stone, you wanted to use a reliable sustain team, it will slowly snap you out of existence. Slowly, but like assuredly. Is that a word? Assuredly? It inflicts continuous damage on a basic attack target. So on the front unit, 5% damage passive. It's almost like anytime I've played against it, it just kind of feels like my front unit just always has it on. And so he's just kind of always dying. How did I do this? I didn't give you my Tegaros ranking. So Tegaros is niche. Otherwise, he'd probably be a little better. But because I don't know, like, his skill stone is really fun and it kind of fits in like an A tier place. But the execution of it, I think, is always more of like in a B kind of spot and area. Because, you know, most people will pick Kali over Tegaros. And the games can drag on a lot. And you also probably need a lot of other stones to make it work with Tegaros. So I'm going to go ahead and throw him in slot B or tier B. All right, now for Elucia. Back to you. Sorry I cut you off there. She's already a very strong unit. And if you pair her with what is already a very strong purple stone, you get an already very stronger, more stronger unit. That's exactly what happens with Elucia. She has like so many different like unique things about her. She pops you. You get ice. The ice stacks basically, and you can crush them with additional crit damage. It's insanely good. She is very squishy, but she is strong. I think they should have just gone with her first name, in my opinion. By the way, I thought this would be such an appropriate joke. I love Elucia, but this is, I imagine how her name came about in the boardroom. It went something like this. And then, of course, the last person. I think it's hilarious. I hope you get something out of it too. Which is Elsa. Yeah, nobody? Ice Queen, Elsa? Nobody? We know who this is. You cannot fool us. Yeah, that is it for the tier list. I am so glad for everybody that stayed through this or watched it. Thank you for joining in. If you have any questions, feel free to share. I know it's a random like Wednesday night, and I'm just trying to make an effort to stream regularly. So I'll try and stream in the mornings. I'll try and stream at nights, and just get like more and more familiar with like the game mechanics and how things work. One thing I do want to share, which is super exciting in my opinion, is I believe I salvaged my Conqueror title. I fell back to about 1,000, and then I fought it up and ended up getting to 700 and I think like 40. There was like a really tough spot there at the end that I managed to pull through on. So thank you again for listening. I hope this tier list was really helpful. Remember, I just want to say it one more time. It is the purple skill stone tier list, okay? This is it.